right in here if we can evade these kangaroos. Flash is already ready for us this morning.
Yeah, and then the second email that we got this morning said it was only 30 minutes, but the other one said, because I got the VIP, that it was half an hour with one, then half an hour.
It will.
Okay,
Yeah,
so my husband was like, what the heck?
No, it'll be both. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a VIP encounter.
Perfect.
So this is Flash. Flash is almost 7 years old. He's our oldest sloth. You can just take that anywhere. But Flash is the one that we don't hold. So he was born and raised a totally different way, but he's comfortable with getting his food hand fed to him. So all this is for him this morning. When we go to feed him, just kind of give it to him at that angle, and then you let it go once he starts to get it into his mouth. If you give it to him from the side, sometimes it's hard for him to actually get it all in there.
Okay.
But you can offer him any of that.
From the top.
Yep. You just have to keep in mind that their eyesight is extremely poor, and so that kind of has to be at the forefront of our minds when we're handling them and everything. And then you can also give him real slow pets down the middle of his back, just like this. Hey, bud, are you hungry this morning? Where are you from?
I live in Ocoee.
Okay. Where'd you hear about us?
On Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, our social media has definitely been taking off here recently, thanks to Kevin.
Well, I'm so obsessed with sloths. It's not even funny. And so, like, anytime I talk about sloths, it pops up on my newsfeed.
Yeah, it's weird how it does that. The phones where it'll just hear what you're talking about. Yeah.
Look at you. I mean, that's got a really strong core.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because he can pull himself all the way back up from that position. But that position really helps them out in the wild though, because you know, sloths are obviously very slow animals, and they have to be slow because they don't have a whole lot of energy in their systems, because they're eating in the wild, they're just eating about 95% leaf material. And leaves aren't very high in calories, so they're very slow animals because they have to be. And it conserves a lot of energy if they're holding on to one branch, and say there's a branch down below them that they want to eat some of those leaves instead of having to go all the way back to the base of the tree, go down and then back out that branch, they can just extend down like that, and they'll grab that branch with their claw and bring it up to them so that they can pluck off those leaves.
Yeah.
Works out pretty well for them to be able to save as much energy as possible, and especially during the day. You know, some people consider them to be nocturnal animals because they do move around a lot more at night because they can see better at night.
Yeah.
But during the day they're awake quite a bit. They just choose to not move around a whole lot. But if they do end up, you know, deciding to get a midday snack like that, works out for them, and they do that at night as well. Now, their eyes, they have a condition that's called rod monochromacy, and that means that they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells.
Oh.
And we have both, and the cone cells allow us to see color, where the rod cells pick up motion. So they can see motion a lot better than we can, because they have a lot more rod cells than we do. And so something, you know, small out of the corner of my eye, like a little mouse moving across the floor or something, my brain's probably just going to deem that as insignificant, and I may not even react to it. My brain, you know, may be able to process it and pick it up, but I'm not going to like turn my head and worry about it too much. But for a sloth that already has a much narrower field of vision, if they see any type of little movement out of the corner of their eye, they have got to know to turn and react to it and look at it, because in the wild, you know, jaguar that's out going at them after the branch is not going to come barreling out after them on that branch. They're going to be creeping up real slow. And so they have to know to, you know, react to that to be able to look, because for a sloth that has essentially no defense mechanism, they need a little bit of a head start to get out there to the end of the branch to try to get away from them first. So a lot of times what happens for them is that if they do see a threat and they're going all the way out to the end of the branch, the end of that branch gets a lot thinner, and it's probably going to be able to support a 10 or 15 pound sloth, but probably not a 35 or 40 pound cat as well. So if they both go out there and the branch eventually breaks, that's kind of best case scenario for the sloth, because they're going to be able to survive that fall, and the cat's probably not, because that fall could be a height of 100 feet up in the air. But sloths are built to be able to survive really big drops like that, because it does happen so often. Yeah. It happens about once a week on average.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I always thought, because I had done, I'm going as fast as I can, sorry, bud. I had done a research paper on them back in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
7th grade for my science class, and I could have swore.
You just leave it. He's a messy eater sometimes.
But I remember reading on how like they will reach out and grab their own arms sometimes.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah, and then they'll fall, and I could have sworn it was that they would fall and end up dying from their fall, but
No,
That
if
makes
that were the
sense.
case, we wouldn't have a whole lot of sloths around, because they do fall by the trees that they're staying in about once a week on average.
Okay.
So it does happen quite often, and it's never because they get tired and they let go. That's initially what a lot of people think is what's happening, because for us, it'd be really difficult to hold on to something for so long. If we
Yeah.
fell asleep, we'd probably let go, because this is a stressful state for us to be in. But for a sloth, the way that their arms are made, the ligaments and tendons that are in their forearms are so tight that snap down like this, holding onto the branch, is basically like this for us. It's their relaxed state. So it
Okay.
doesn't take any energy for them to hold on like that.
Yeah.
So even when they fall asleep, they're still holding on to that tree and with no issues whatsoever.
You want more?
He's doing pretty good this morning. Sometimes in the mornings he's a little bit of a slower eater, because their systems takes about 30 days to digest everything through it.
Okay.
So it takes an extremely long time, and because their system only has a one-way valve that allows food to go in but not back out, they can't just overeat and fill themselves to the very brim, because
Yeah.
it's not going to have anywhere to go to. And so if that happens for a sloth, it can be pretty bad news. It can lead to a lot of bloating, indigestion, things that can be really uncomfortable for them. And that's why a lot of times in the mornings he's kind of slower, because in the evenings he gets this rice mixture, and that's pretty filling for him. And so sometimes he stuffs himself on that.
Yeah.
The radio's back, she was still working. My bust.
Yeah, he seems to be having a pretty good appetite this morning. We'll see if he wants any of this squash here.
Okay.
Sometimes squash is a hit and miss. Sometimes he's really digging it, and other times he's not. And he's kind of finicky, pretty much Dash and Zoe, they both have their pretty much favorites that stay constant. But Flash will go through his spells where green beans are pretty much always a win, but there'll be some days like he only wants squash, or he only wants sweet potato, or, he'll pick his kind. But I guess he's interested in everything today since he took that. Maybe it's he likes it freshly cut right away. And I never knew that there's a smell difference between zucchini and squash, but apparently there is. I know when it's cooked, like they taste a little bit different, but just by smelling too, I can't tell a difference, but he definitely can.
Yeah.
So since their eyesight is so poor, their sense of smell and their sense of hearing tends to be pretty heightened. And it's the same way for us, if we lose one of our senses, our others tend to be heightened as well.
You didn't want that one.
They have to break out some more green beans here in a second.
He's so cute. You are cutie.
And he is a two-toed sloth, although it makes more sense to say two-fingered, because it is the front where they have the two, and then on the back, all sloths will have three claws. Yeah. I guess whoever decided to call them 2- and 3-toed sloths just decided that all 4 of their limbs were legs.
Yeah.
But I do consider the front to be arms, because they use them a lot more like arms. They'll reach out and
That's really
try
good.
to get your attention.
Okay. You gonna take it down?
And there's been times where I have even offered him like one end of the veggie, and he's like turned his nose up at it, just not wanting anything to do with it. And then I'll turn him around and offer him the other end, and he's like, "Oh, see, yeah, that's what I was wanting." Some more of these and get some green beans.
I love how he reaches out like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready for more. You are eating a lot. You are.
So Flash is almost 7 years old, but when we first got Flash, he was not comfortable with anything like this at all. We got him from a facility that was basically like a zoo, and so he was pretty much observation only,
Yeah.
and had never really experienced anybody being in his enclosure and actually wanting him to come down and interact with him.
Yeah.
And so really it took like the first 2 years of having Flash for John to get him comfortable enough to even, his enclosure goes up 20 feet where he stays, and they like to be up high,
Yeah.
they're sloths,
Yeah.
and so, it took him really the first 2 years to even get Flash to the point where when he would go in there in the morning to give him his breakfast, he would have to talk to him and persuade him to come down, like blow some banana up towards him, because he is a sucker for banana.
Oh.
But he can only have small amounts at a time.
Yeah, it's got lots of sugar.
Yeah, but Yeah, but then he finally got to the point where he'd start to come down when he was in there in his enclosure.
Yeah.
And then sloths are very routine animals, and so he kind of was still, takes a while to do anything with a sloth, and it takes a while to establish, you know, a routine like that for him. But once they've established it, they really do like to stick to it.
It's like you're not feeding me fast enough.
But it became his routine that around 9:30 in the mornings when we get here, he'll just go ahead and open up his door right away, and we'll start chopping up his breakfast and making everybody's food for the day.
Yeah.
And then as he hears that, he knows that we've opened up that door and he's ready for his breakfast. So he makes a long trek all the way down from that 20-foot enclosure.
Oh, wow.
And he'll hook onto the door frame and then hook out onto this branch by himself because, like I said, we don't ever hold him.
Onto this one by himself? Okay.
So there's a branch pretty close to the door frame right there on the other side, on the inside of his enclosure. So he'll hang onto that, reach and connect onto that door frame, and then connect over onto this branch. So they're very limber. All of their grabs are very calculated, but it works out well for him because he does it every single day.
How is the blood not rushing to your head there, bud?
That's another really cool feature about sloths is that their circulatory system is extremely adaptable. So it can change to whatever position that they put themselves into. You know, the most natural position for a sloth is for all four limbs to be attached to the branch and kind of their back being at the lowest point. But they can totally invert themselves to be completely upside down like this. And when they go to the bathroom once a week, they'll be in an upright position like this, holding onto the branch or the trunk of the tree, and then scooting their booty around on the ground to go to the bathroom. So they'll be like completely upright. But their circulatory can change a lot more than ours can. If we do a handstand, all the blood's gonna start rushing to our heads. Or if I hold my hand up for a while, the blood's gonna rush down to my shoulder. But for them, certain valves will slam closed and others will pump harder to ensure that they're getting adequate blood flow all throughout their body.
Yeah.
So it works pretty well for them. And their digestive system, like I said, only has that one-way valve that allows food in and out the other end, but not back out the top. And so that's how he's able to continue to eat and swallow his food, even when he's completely upside down. But if I did a handstand and tried to eat, it wouldn't work out too well
You'd be
for us.
choking.
Yeah. It's kind of a double-edged sword, though. I mean, it's really good in some aspects, but if they were to be fed something that they're not supposed to eat or too much of something like banana, he loves bananas, but he's not going to be exposed to entire banana, things like that out in the wild. And so he doesn't know that he's not supposed to eat all of that. And if we fed him an entire banana, he'd probably eat all that. But then we'll be pretty messed up because, like I said, it takes 30 days to digest everything in his system from start to finish.
Yeah.
And so he'd be stuck with that, entire banana for the next 30 days. And bananas are pretty high in fructose. And that can cause an overgrowth of yeast in those systems. And that's kind of an issue that you gotta look out for these guys. Their belly tends to get the better of them sometimes.
It's coming. There you go. You are hungry. Oh my goodness. So you said you guys got him from a different location? Where
Yeah,
did
he
come
wasn't
from?
bred here. We got him up north, from a breeder that does raise his sloths up there very naturally. So
Okay.
naturally, sloths are very solitary animals that just want to be by themselves.
Yeah.
They're not gonna wanna be holding on to people or doing things like Dash and Zoe do. Their behavior is very unusual, so a lot of different work and raising and effort has to go into them from a young age to get them to that point.
Yeah.
The Flash didn't have that. He was basically hands-off his whole life. And then after he was weaned from his mother, he basically went into solitary confinement, which is what he was comfortable with, what they naturally will seek out. So he was by himself for the first three, I'd say 2.5 years of his life, because they're weaned around 5 months old, and that's natural. That's of the mother's own choosing. They'll choose to wean their babies that early. And they only nurse for about 2 to 5 weeks, so it's a very short amount of time that they're actually nursing.
Okay.
But they'll stay with the mom for a while just to basically learn how to be a sloth. So show you his acrobatics there.
That itch?
And sometimes if he's itching down low on his stomach or something, he'll have that back leg stretched all the way out. He'll be scratching just by hanging by it, one front and one back.
That's funny.
He likes it when those blinds are open sometimes. He likes to look out there. What do you think, buddy?
It's funny, I went down to go visit my daughter in Florida and she got me one of the tracking bracelets.
Oh, yeah?
And that one, his name is Pistachio.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't get alerts for a while, I'll go and check because I get worried. I'm like, what happened to my pistachio?
Mm-hmm.
But I finally got an alert the other day and I was like, okay, he moved.
So it just alerts you whenever they move, so a lot of times they're still?
It upload, like it doesn't update every day, like it updates every few days.
Oh, okay.
Cause it's on the satellite tracker.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like
Yeah.
minute by minute, but it's cool because then it'll tell you like the calculations of how far they've moved.
Yeah.
You know, how many feet per mile and stuff
Cool.
like that. And it's
Yeah.
like 20 feet per mile. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's still a lot of research going on out there about sloths and their movement.
Yeah.
So scientists used to think that they were pretty solitary to just their one tree. They like to stay in that one tree. Sometimes they venture back, but then they always go back to the same one. And some scientists still stick to that, and they still believe that, and they like to tell people that. But other research will show that they do move quite a bit, and they can actually move up to a mile a day at a time.
Yeah.
Now they can come back to that same tree because they are creatures of habit. They do like to do the same thing. It's very evident even in captivity. You know, they'll do the same routine every day.
Yeah.
So much so that for Flash, typically, now he's slowly changed it up, but there for a long time, that side of the branch was solely his scratching side of the branch. He would never eat anything over there. Even if you offered it to him, he would come all the way back over here to be able to eat. And likewise, if he was on this side of the branch and he could be stuffing his face, you know, in a bowl full of rice or something,
Yeah.
and then he'll stop halfway through, go all the way to that end just to scratch himself, and then come back to start eating again. So they do like to do the same things at the same times every single day.
Yeah.
And it's pretty rare that they don't do it the same way. But he does like to take a lot of little micro naps like that, where he'll go over and just decompress for a second and then come all the way back to start eating again.
She's swinging a little bit there.
And that position is, you know, the most natural position for them to be in.
Yeah.
Like I was mentioning earlier about that locking mechanisms that they have with their claws there. If he were to pass away in that position, holding onto the branch of that tree, he would continue to hang there until something either rotted or knocked him off of that branch.
Oh
And
my
that's
gosh.
because, like for them, like I was saying, squeezing down is their relaxed state. And for us, open-handed is our relaxed state. So when we're sedated or put under anesthesia or something, or
Everything's
pass
relaxed.
away, yeah, everything's, you know, we don't tense up all of a sudden. So it's the same way for them. It's just a very, you know, different relaxed state.
Yeah.
So much so that actually about 2 months ago, it was time for his yearly exam and vet visit, and it was time for his blood work to be done. And since we don't hold Flash, we do have to sedate him for those to be able to make sure that he's gonna be comfortable and everything throughout the whole process. So after we gave him the sedatives, you know, I'd been telling people that they would continue to hang there and everything, but saying it and believing it are two different things.
Yes.
So after we gave him the sedatives and he was hanging in that position, just on this side of the branch, we were all kind of like standing right underneath him, just waiting for him to fall. But then after those sedatives fully kicked in, he was not aware of anything going on. You could touch him all over his face. It was just a blank stare in a completely locked out position, basically like that. But he was completely out of it and still holding on to that branch. So we worked on him hanging there for about 10 minutes before it was time to start to collect the samples that we needed. And so we had to actually pry his claw up off of the branch to get him down. There's no way that we could have pulled him down off the branch to get him to let go of those claws. And in the wild, it's actually proven that if a jaguar or an ocelot or something were to grab onto their backs and be dangling down from them, trying to get them out of the branch, they would continue to hang there. Obviously, they're going to sustain, you know, quite a bit of damage from that, but they would still be able to hold on. Now, the most successful thing out in the wild that can grab a hold of sloths and just pluck them out of branches or out of the trees are actually the harpy eagles, because those are completely massive eagles. I mean, their wingspan is just about as big as mine, and they have the element of surprise. And so a lot of times the sloths will be up in the very tippy tops of the branches or out on the very end of those, because that's where the most fresh leaves are growing, the little baby leaves. And the sarcopia trees that they're living in, those leaves actually will build up a toxin over time. And those are in the older, more mature leaves. And so they tend to try to stay out there on the end to get those younger ones that don't have as much cellulose or a lot easier to break down.
Yeah.
And when they're out there, you know, if they choose to go out there in the daytime when other things can see them, then that's really when a harpy eagle can just swoop in. And if they just, you know, grab a hold of one leg, they're completely coming off. There's no pulling down to that. It's just it's a lot easier to lift them up off the branch than it is to pull them down. They're kind of like coat hangers. All four feet are kind of like coat hangers for them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you just sleeping, buddy?
So
Let's see if we can give him a little piece of banana, see if we can come back over here. And something weird about him is he likes the peel of the banana just as well as he does the actual
Okay.
banana piece.
Okay.
Hey buddy, you some bye-byes? That's some good stuff right there. Come on, bud. Come back over this way for us. You see that little nose going? Come on, bud. Yeah, that's the good stuff.
He's all sorts of wide-eyed.
And you can see those tiny little pinpoint pupils right there. They stay like that all the time during the day, but they'll actually dilate quite a bit at nighttime.
Okay.
Yeah. Allows a lot more light to be able to come in for him to be able to see. Oh, bud. Do you have a phone that you want me to take some pictures for you with? Yeah. Makes for some pretty cool pictures if he extends down like that,
Yeah.
and you can stand next to him. Oh, what? Come down this way. You got hair on your nose. Okay, we come down right here. Come on. Come on. There we go.
And then just stand next to
Yeah,
him.
you stand right next to him.
He gonna grab a hold of me?
No, he won't. It looks like he is in the picture that with him reached out like that.
You are so precious. Can I get a picture? Oh yeah, there we go.
I guess if you want to give him that.
He's like, I want more.
He's a spoiled boy for sure.
I can tell. I can tell, yeah. Here, you want some more of these?
He said, oh, that's not banana, but I guess I'll take it.
I'll take it.
You have any other encounters today, or is it just with the sloth?
Just with the sloth.
Yeah.
That's all I care
Yeah.
about. That's all I care about.
You guys have any other plans while you're in Benton, or just heading back?
Just
Yeah.
here. Just here. You sure you don't want that? It's like, what the heck? What
Yeah,
is
there's
that?
not a whole lot of other cool things to do here in Benton. I think the closest bigger city is Cleveland there. There's not a whole lot of Cleveland.
No, there's
either.
not. There's not. And you're just like, I just want banana. That's all you want. That's all
With
you
that
care.
big old belly on you. And something interesting too about sloths that's unlike any other animal is that their hair actually parts down the middle of their belly and goes down to their backs. For a dog or a cat, any other upright animal, their hair will part down the middle of their spine. And same way for us,
Yeah.
our hair parts in the middle. That would be like our hair parting in the back and going forward or something. So
Yeah.
it's very, very unique for them.
Yeah.
But in the wild, they would grow a lot of that moss and algae and everything on their
Yep.
backs to be able for them to camouflage in. And that's really helps them to form that with their hair part there in the middle, because all that rainwater will start to gather on their backs. And each individual hair of a sloth actually has a lot of tiny micro cracks all throughout it. And that's what allows for the water to get caught in those little divots. And then over time, we'll start to form that algae and everything.
Gotcha.
And then on top of that, those sloths will actually have hundreds of moths living all throughout their fur. And I don't know if you learned about this in your little paper that you had to do in 8th grade or not, but that is my absolute favorite part about sloths. And I know it sounds kind of gross because moths living on an animal, but it's really important for them because they have a symbiotic relationship with those moths. So
Okay.
the sloths need them and the moths need the sloths to be able to survive. And so those moths will actually produce a bacteria in their waste. And once the sloth licks up that bacteria on their backs, that's actually the bacteria that they will use to digest their food.
Oh.
And since bacteria is really sensitive to temperature changes and sloths can't maintain their own body temperature, if it drops outside, the sloth's temperature will as well, and that bacteria won't be able to live in that environment. So the bacteria in their gut could be wiped out, and they need those moths on their back so that they can lick up more of that bacteria. If the temperature dropped and all those moths were stripped from the sloth, then the sloth would starve. It could pass with a full belly of food, just not able to digest any of it without that bacteria.
Huh.
So it's really important for them. Now in captivity, you can see he doesn't have any on him,
Yeah.
but we keep him in a stable environment. So it's always 78, 79 degrees in their indoor enclosures.
Yeah.
And we only let them go outside when it's above 75, because if we let them outside when it's like 60, 65, yeah, that bacteria would not be able to survive. And since those moths don't live here, if they lost the bacteria, then there's nothing that we can really do to get it back up. They don't make any form of a synthetic bacteria to give them. You know, your lip down there, buddy.
I think he's got an itch and he just keeps
Yeah.
getting the by accident.
Yeah.
Just so cute.
But in the wild, that's actually why the sloths will go all the way down to the base of the tree to go to the bathroom. They only get the urge about once a week, which is good because when they do, they gotta make that long trek to go down there. Not only is that energy expensive, but that's
Yeah.
actually when they're most exposed to other, things that could potentially eat them. Is that your house, buddy? He says, open the door. You got one other person wants to see you this morning, buddy. You get some more goodies. But when they go down there, they have to do that because those moths have to repopulate somewhere. So those moths will crawl down off of the sloth, lay their eggs in the dung pile of the sloth before crawling back up, and they have to do that within a matter of a minute or two because it's not very long that they're down there at that pile.
Yeah.
And then a week later, those eggs that the moths have laid will turn into larvae, and a week after that, the larvae into adult moths. They need somewhere to be able to crawl up to because they can't fly like other moths do.
Gotcha.
They require that direct contact. You're gonna show her your acrobatics again. Sticking it, oh, usually he sticks that leg out straight and stretches it out. But notice how he went all the way to the end there again to be able to scratch himself?
Yeah.
He was all the way over here, then has to go back over there to be able to scratch that itch.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is so funny. Oh.
What do you think, buddy? But it also benefits the moths too because they'll feed off of that moss and algae that's growing on the backs of the sloths. And so there's a long scientific name for those moths, but for our purposes we just call them the sloth moth because that is the only place that those moths will live in the entire world. They can't live in any other environment.
He's like, if it's not a banana, I don't want it.
Yeah, he's got me pretty much trained because he knows that if I hold out long enough for something else that I know that she knows that I want, then I'll get it. He says,
Yeah,
I
okay.
guess.
Well, I figured you're gonna take something because you're reaching out to me like, hey, lady. I don't know.
But you can see those sharp teeth too when he opens up right there on the sides. They don't have any teeth there in the very front, so if you see like they lick their little lip or something, it looks really deceiving because it doesn't look like they have anything in there. But when you get the whole dash here in a minute, if he yawns, which he does quite a bit, and he opens up that little cute face of his, it's like the cutest / scariest thing in the entire world because you wouldn't imagine for a cute little creature like that to have so many razor sharp teeth in the back of their mouths, but they do.
Yeah. Well, it's
And
like
they-
koalas.
Yeah.
I mean, they look cute and cuddly, and then they open their mouths,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my
And
gosh.
they can definitely do damage with them too. The koalas, they're really cute, and a lot of foreigners, when they go to Australia or wherever, and they're like they see one on the ground or something, and they go to pick it up, a lot of the natives will warn against that because they do look really cute, and it's kind of deceiving because if you go to pick them up, they'll eat you up.
Oh, yeah.
The koalas, they've got a lot more energy than the sloths do. Sloths are really low in energy, but they can use short bursts of energy if they need to. So if they're
Yeah.
startled by something and they're trying to scurry and get away from it, they definitely can, use up some energy just to get away. And if you were to try to hold, you'll get to hold Dash here in a second. The experience between holding Dash is basically like holding a house cat. But if you tried to hold a sloth that was in the wild that had never been held before, it would essentially be like holding a feral cat.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they
That
would
makes sense.
definitely, eat you up and use those teeth if they wanted to.
Well, and their toes are very sharp too.
Exactly, yeah. They dull down quite a bit over time, but their grip strength is extremely incredible because for them it doesn't take any effort. You look at the cameras there, bud. And so they can, some sources that I have read say that they have the ability to crush bones with those claws. Probably not, our arm bone like that, but if they squeeze down on some fingers just in the right way, they definitely could and at least put some pain into you.
He's like, I know you got bit before.
I know, but I need to put it up so you quit smelling it. It's a mean trick, isn't it? And he knows when I open up the fridge door, he's like, oh, is there another option now? What do you think, bud? Is there other visitors out there yet?
I think this is still from the kangaroos.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a John, right? Isn't that?
I'm not sure. They'll be in here in just a minute, buddy, I promise.
You are just so precious.
I figured we'd probably finish up with Dash just up at the pavilion.
Where you go? Where you go?
Oh yeah, is John coming down for the next one?
I don't know.
Okay, let me go.
What? One of these?
Hey, buddy.
Nope. He was like,
That was a hard no. I know, bud. You got just a minute. When they come in, they'll give you some more goodies.
Yeah, you'll probably get more banana.
Yeah. Can't get filled all the way up from this one. They want to be able to see your cute face too. His little hairs, when they stick down in his face like that, they kind of look like Einstein.
Yeah. Not going away yet, bud.
We're gonna have to lure you over one more time, buddy, because I gotta be able to go in there and get Dash. I can't if you're right there in front of the door.
So they all stay in the same enclosure together?
So right now, no. Flash will always be by himself. Dash is just hanging out in his outdoor enclosure right now, but the door's closed. Flash will always be by himself because he wasn't raised around other sloths like Dash and Zoe were. And so for him to be introduced to one of those could be pretty stressful for him.
Gotcha.
Eventually, Dash and Zoe came from the same facility, so they were raised around other sloths. So we'll eventually implement them together when they get old enough. I'm gonna step in here and grab him. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, where are you going? Oh no. Okay, he's back in front of the door. Okay.
Oh, did you put it in the fridge? Alright. Come here, bud. Just a little piece.
Just a little piece. We're gonna go over here. Come on. Come on. Come this way. No. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come here. All right, I think you're good.
Teamwork.
You are so sweet. But smart.
Yes,
He was
is.
like-
There's no getting nothing by him.
You guys
Ready?
want? Yep.
Yeah. All right, we'll head up this way. We're gonna finish up here under the pavilion.
Oh, you guys have it online.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll have to see if I can find it later.
Yep,
Are you got it?
Yep.
You sure?
yep, I'm still.
Ladies?
You already hit hand sanitizer?
Mhm.
Excellent. Hey, y'all, come on in. This is Flash. Flash is our oldest. He is going on 7, two-toed Linnaeus sloth. And this morning, you guys are gonna feed Flash his breakfast, and I'm gonna teach you some things about sloths that you likely don't know.
I love it.
So, you guys are welcome to walk over this way, because I need to get in the fridge there.
Is it okay if I just leave my purse right there in the floor?
Yeah, absolutely, yep. And you are welcome to take all the pictures, all the videos you would like. And I'm gonna get him a little food ready for his breakfast. Gotta cool off for a minute here. Pretty hot. We're gonna let that cool for a few minutes while I talk to you about Flash. So Flash is a two-fingered Linnaeus sloth. Alive in the world today, there are two-fingered sloths and three-fingered sloths. Taxonomically, they are still called two-toed and three-toed, but the two-fingered, three-fingered makes a little more sense because they all have 3 toes on the back feet, like this guy. They all have 3 on the back feet. Two-fingered have 2 on the front, three-fingered have 3 on the front. There are other differences between them. The Hello from the Sloth Encounter. Hello from the Sloth Encounter. Can you hear me? The two-fingered sloth is a larger animal slightly and a more heavily built animal and is a tiny bit quicker than a three-fingered sloth. But to describe a two-fingered sloth as quicker than anything in the mammal kingdom, you could only be talking about a three-fingered sloth because they collectively are the world's slowest mammals. The other differences between them, the two-fingered sloth has far more ribs between. Let me show you from a skeleton picture what we're talking about here. The animals. And this is just a Google search of sloth skeleton. This guy is a two-fingered sloth, and this is an image of a two-fingered sloth skeleton. You see that it has no tail and it has only 5 vertebrae in the cervical spine between skull and shoulders. The three-fingered sloth has 9 vertebrae in the cervical spine and he has a tail. So the 4 missing from the neck and the 3 missing from the tail are all between the hips and shoulders of the two-fingered. So you'll see here when he comes down to eat his breakfast, a three-fingered sloth would turn that long neck all the way around like this. The two-fingered, this guy, this is hips and this is shoulders. He can rotate until his hips and shoulders are facing pretty much 180 out from each other. The three-fingered sloth, you can see this one, arms are longer than body, legs are shorter. The two-fingered, whoop, where'd my picture go? The two-fingered, arms are longer than body, legs are longer than arms. So he's got really big arms and legs. This guy's built more like a truck. The other one is built a little more like a sports car. But it's going to be a sports car at Barrett Jackson Car Show where they push it across the stage because it ain't going anywhere quick. If you were looking at him, the three-fingered sloth is the one that has a flat face and like the mask on its face. The two-fingered has more like a snout like a dog and his face is pretty much a chocolate brown color. The three-fingered sloth is a little less common than a two-fingered sloth, and within the continental United States it is far less common because the three-fingered sloth eats almost exclusively Sarcopia leaves, and Sarcopia trees don't grow in the continental U.S. So there are nearly no three-fingered sloths in the continental U.S. because it would be like having to feed a koala. That, you know, koalas eat almost nothing. Well, they do eat nothing except eucalyptus leaves, and there aren't eucalyptus trees plentifully around the states. So you basically have the expense of operating a private jet to bring food home for your animal 2 and 3 times a week, and that gets frightfully expensive. So both from here, talking mainly about sloths generally, 2 and 3-fingered sloths. Sloths are slow. Everyone knows that sloths are slow. But sloths are slow in ways that it may not even have occurred to you that it would be possible for an animal to be slow. So they're slow beginning. The reason that a sloth is slow is their diet. In the wild, a sloth is eating almost exclusively leaves. About 90% of their diet is leaves. And leaves are very low in nutritional value and very low in caloric content. So a sloth is working on an extremely limited energy budget. So limited, in fact, that a sloth can't even maintain its body temperature. The sloth, hang on, let me finish this so I can talk to you undistracted. Alright, now we've got him some breakfast going here. You guys are going to feed him this breakfast. He's going to eat some of this rice mix first, and then he'll eat some veggies. And you can feed him straight from your hand, or you can feed him from the dish, whichever you like. Hey, Bubba, breakfast time. Hey, Flash. Good morning, buddy. He doesn't see, so he has to smell. Smells a little slower, like a sloth.
What coincidence.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. Breakfast time. You want your breakfast? He's like, so, you were late with my breakfast, so, We'll give him a minute. So, sloths cannot maintain their body temperature. They are technically a warm-blooded animal, but their core body temperature will be whatever the outside air temperature is. Daytime high in the rainforest is in the mid to upper 80s, nighttime low is in the high 60s. Their core body temperature can be 19 degrees less in the night than it is in the day. The sloth also is unable to make milk for its babies for any significant amount of time. So in the wild, anywhere, a sloth is only nourishing its babies with milk for about 2 to 5 weeks. The San Diego Zoo's knowledge base says that it's actually a gender-dependent thing, and that a female baby sloth eats milk for about 4 weeks and a male baby sloth for about 2. But really short time in any case. Most mammals produce, store, deliver milk for their young. A sloth just produces and delivers at the same time. Drop by drop, as the baby nurses, that's when the sloth produces the milk. So on the temperature change, if his core body temperature changes by 19 degrees Fahrenheit in a single day, for a human, that's me dropping from 98.6 down to 79.6. Obviously that can't work, but that's the way that a sloth rolls. I don't know why this guy's asleep. Hey, Flash, you gonna wake up, buddy? What's the deal, dude? Good morning. I mean, he's not actually waking up. He sleeps in his room. He came down here this morning. I think he was like, hey, my rice isn't ready, and what's up with that? He's pretty locked into a set schedule. Hey, Bob. You ready for your breakfast? Weird. Hey, Bo. You want this? Most unusual. Well, if he doesn't come down, we'll do the breakfast with a different sloth in a few. So the sloth, now he's looking. What are you doing, buddy?
All things on my own schedule.
Well, the sloths don't have to perform to eat. Any food he doesn't eat during his encounter goes in his dish. He's going to get fed, no matter if he doesn't encounter or not. And actually, if he doesn't come down the tree at all, because his room is actually in here. And if he's up in the top of that tree, it's 20 feet up. I'm not going up there to get him.
No, I wouldn't either.
No. I don't know. You ready for the breakfast, dude?
Okay, well now, if you insist. Oh my goodness.
So you can feed him out of the dish, or you can feed him straight from your hand the way I am, whichever way you're comfortable with. You're just gonna lick your fingers though. So if you don't want him licking your fingers, feed him out of the dish.
You can totally lick my fingers like that.
Just keep him going, or he'll go right back up again. All right, so the sloth, the diet is what makes it. You can see the way he's twisting around there, and he can keep on twisting till he can be 180 out, one from the other. The sloth, slow in their diet, slow in their digestion, slow in their metabolism, slow in their metabolic processes, slow in absolutely every way. The sloth, his digestive process is extraordinarily slow. He eats a tremendous amount of food, about 10% of his body weight every single day. And yet he goes to the bathroom only 3 or 4 times a month, once in a week or 10 days. The sloth, when he does go to the bathroom, he comes all the way down the tree, same side of the tree, to go to the bathroom in the exact same place that he always does. When the sloth is in the top of the tree, he is basically entirely safe. A snake cannot find a sloth because the snake is seeking its food by sense of smell and temperature difference. The sloth doesn't maintain his body temperature, so there's no temperature gradient between the sloth and the surroundings. The sloth has no scent gland, musk gland, sweat gland, none of it. So the sloth has no natural scent. So for a snake to find a sloth would be nothing but pure dumb luck. The cat cannot get to the sloth in the top of the tree. That is because the sloth's sense to stay safe is end of the branch, get to the end of the branch when something is near him, and then boing, the branch bends down under him, and the cat is trying to follow along on the top of the tree, and when he gets to the end there, the branch won't support him, and he doesn't have any way to get down the end of the branch to get to where the sloth is. So if the cat should press the issue to the point that the branch breaks and the whole mess falls 100 feet all the way to the floor of the rainforest, the cat will almost certainly not survive a 100-foot drop, and the sloth almost certainly will survive a 100-foot drop. So the sloth will look over the cat and he'll say, ha, ha, and he will scurry back up the tree, and the cat will not. So the only animal that can get to the sloth in the top of the tree is a harpy eagle. He'll nosh and quit, it's all good. The only one that can get to the sloth in the top of the tree is the harpy eagle. And the harpy eagle is not hunting by scent. It doesn't need the weight of the branch to support it. It's not sensing temperature difference. So the one animal that the sloth is subject to in the top of the tree is the harpy eagle. So the moss and algae in the sloth's fur help very significantly with the harpy eagle coming at him. If you want to stand on the other side, I'll get a picture of both of you together. You stand right up to both sides of him. Look this way once. There you go. His hand is in the middle of his face. It's frozen. Usually you can just open
Just
it.
got it.
There we go.
Thank you.
So even though the sloth is entirely safe in the top of the tree, yet he comes all the way down the tree, same side of the tree, every single time to go to the bathroom. When he comes down, he gets his hiney right to the ground and does a little waka, does his little potty dance, and goes in the same place that he always goes. And the reason for that is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So in the wild, sloths require moths and moths require sloths. Neither one can survive without the other. There is a type of moth in the world called a sloth moth that lives nowhere in the world except in the fur and in the waste pile of a sloth. That is why the sloth comes all the way down the tree to use the restroom every time. When the sloth comes down, the moths, which there can be 100 to 150 moths living in the sloth's fur all of the time, when he comes down the tree, the moths all fly down, get in the waste pile, and lay their eggs. And then they get back to the sloth as quickly as they can, because he's only going to be down for 2 or 3 minutes, and they don't want to miss their ride back up to the canopy of the rainforest. The sloths lay their eggs in the waste pile, and this week's eggs are the following week's larvae or the following week's moths. So every time that he comes down the tree, there's a new step in the process. And every time he comes down the tree, more moths fly up onto the sloth and will live their entire life on the sloth. Here, they don't require the moths, thankfully. We wouldn't want to be dealing with 150 moths living in his fur while we pet it, right? Especially when you hold the next one. That would be horrible. So the sloth in the rainforest, they absolutely require the moths. It is a symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic meaning beneficial to both sides of the equation, where parasitic would be beneficial to one, neutral, or harmful to the other. The benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the food source and the living environment of the moth. The the moth, the sloth moth, lays its eggs in the waste pile, becomes a moth in the waste pile, then goes on to the sloth, lives its whole life on the sloth. The only two reasons it leaves the sloth are one, to get into the waste to lay its eggs, and two, to drink water that pools up in the leaves, up in the canopy of the rainforest. Beyond that, they'll live their whole life on the sloth. The benefit to the sloth is at least three things. One, as the sloth grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the moths themselves. That is the sloth's protein source in the wild. Two, as the moths live in the sloth's fur, they are feeding on the moss and algae that is all in his fur, and they are fertilizing the same via their waste. More moss, more algae, more disguise from harpy eagles. So that helps the sloth to stay safe from the one thing that can get to him in the top of the tree, which is an eagle. Third, and most importantly, as the sloth grooms himself, it is licking up a certain amount of the waste of the moths. The waste of the moths is the key to the game for the sloth. The waste of the moths are where the sloth gets his probiotics that make him digest his food. Now, we also have helpful gut bacteria that will last throughout our lives unless we take a lot of antibiotics. If we take a lot of antibiotics, we need probiotics or Greek yogurt to fix our gut health back up, right? He lives in the rainforest. He's never heard of GNC. He doesn't know the way to Publix. So he's not getting any probiotics, nor is he getting any Greek yogurt. So he has to have a different source for his gut bacteria. The sloth gets his gut bacteria from the waste of the moths. Now, for us, what interrupts our gut health is a lot of antibiotics. For him, what interrupts his gut health is cold temperature. And in the rainforest, his body temperature is following highs and lows in the rainforest all of the time. So he is needing to continually replenish his gut bacteria. Here, he never ever is allowed to be cold. That's why it's 78 plus degrees in this room all the time, as I see that you have detected. And so if he never gets cold, his gut bacteria will last forever. So we don't have to live here with 150 nasty little moths on each one of our sloths. Thank the Lord. Would you imagine holding an animal that is crawling with bugs, right? So here, he doesn't need the moths because one, he doesn't need the protein. We give him other protein sources. Two, he doesn't need the moss and algae disguise. Nothing is here seeking his life. And three, he is never allowed to get cold, so his gut bacteria will last and last. Other things about a sloth. A sloth is crazy strong. This guy can do a one-arm pull-up by any of his forearms. I dare to say that none of us could. The sloth can hang here for days. Now, if we were trying to do a two-arm hang in this branch, a minute would be a long time to do a two-arm hang, and that's because this is our stress or exertion state. This is our relaxed state. The sloth is the opposite. He has tremendously tight tendons in his hand and in his forearm, so bang, clamp down like that. That is the sloth's natural relaxed state. He is exerting no energy at all to hold on to the branch like that. So if his life ended hanging in that tree, he would not necessarily fall, because he is literally expending zero energy to be clamped down like that. The sloth also, I showed you the picture with how many ribs this guy's got, right? Now for us, our guts are just sitting in our pelvis, upper bounded by our diaphragm. So if we were on one of these inversion tables and we're hanging upside down for like an hour or two, we're going to get short of breath, we're going to get pretty uncomfortable, right? For a number of reasons. He's not. He's going to hang there and be totally chill. The sloth has connective tissue that goes all in between his ribs and all of his organs. So whether he is hanging horizontally upside down like this, or vertically upside down like that, or whether he's hanging right side up in the tree like this, or laying on his back, belly, or side, no matter his body position, the position and orientation of his organs will remain exactly what it needs to be. Also, people ask, how can he swallow upside down? Well, we could swallow upside down too, just fine. We just rarely have occasion to do so. The peristalsis is what brings our food down to our stomach, you know, or otherwise how would an astronaut eat in outer space, right? If it was gravity moving our food down. But for him, if we were upside down for a long, long time, it would be like we had acid reflux with stuff coming back up out of our stomach. Hey buddy, how you doing, Flash? He likes to get my hat.
More of a breeze on this side if you want to sit on that side.
He's all about the hats. He also likes to do his hands on my hair like this. When I'm having a better hair day and I don't have the hat because, you know, what can you do? But the singing barber off of American Idol came down and gave me a haircut in the room, and Flash was like supposed to be his assistant, and Flash is there doing his hands all on my hair like this.
Oh, that's
Well,
funny.
Noah's doing his thing. But so anyhow, the sloth does have a one-way in the top of his stomach, so food goes in, but it can't go back out. So there's no way for anything to move in reverse through his digestive system. Sloth has a multi-chambered stomach. He doesn't have multiple stomachs. He has multiple chambers in the same stomach, and that's how he digests his food over a tremendously long time. The sloth. Well, hey Georgie. The sloth, he's an amazing animal in so many different ways. The sloth's eyes have a structure called a rod monochromacy. It means he has all rod cells, no cone cells. So he sees all the time in grayscale, and he sees shapes and objects poorly, but he sees motion very, very well. That's what's important for the sloth, is to see that something is coming at him. Anything coming toward a sloth is bad news for the sloth. So his instinct is going to be end of the branch, get out to the end of the branch, and then that's where he stays safe. So if you've ever seen the point of view of the military guys running around with the night vision goggles on in the movies, and they see just blobs moving around in front of them, that's the way that a sloth sees. He sees motion well, but he sees shapes and objects poorly. The sloth, because his sense of vision is very poor, his sense of smell and his sense of hearing are very good. So this guy knows what I smell like, and he knows what I sound like. So when I open his door and say, "Hey, Flash," he just comes right on down. And I never use any different cologne than I always use. So he knows what I sound like, and he knows what I smell like. But he can't see the difference between me and either one of you. We're about the same size and shape, so he really can't see the difference between us. But sloths overall are just pretty amazing animals. A lot of people don't know that sloths have ears. His ears, proportional to his head, are just as big as our ears are proportional to our head. He just is like an 80s rock star that if you didn't get down and dig into that hair, you would never know that he had ears.
It was okay to pet his hair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your hair's so much longer than I thought it would be.
Sloths don't replace their hair either. So even to the extent that we lose, 20 or 30 hairs every day, sloths don't. They grow their hair and they keep their hair. You guys are on VIP, right?
No, I think we just did
Okay. The littler sloth, his hair is much, much shorter. And the bigger sloth, his hair is much longer. So that's as long as it's going to get. Where are you guys from?
Knoxville,
Oh, nice.
not a far. This was my birthday gift this year.
Oh, cool. 29?
Forever. Actually, I don't know, 29 wasn't great. 30s and 40s seem better. So I'll take them.
I remember 30s and 40s, vaguely.
I know.
So firm.
Don't move.
Places that we
He said that
He wants to
back
go
my
outside.
bedroom.
Well, so when we open the door, he either goes up to the top and takes a nap for 2 or 3 hours, or he goes outside. So I think it's more than 70 out, so we'll be letting him go outside.
I love that. Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty nice today. It's supposed to get up to like the low 80s.
Oh yeah, it's 80 now. Reach 88 today.
Then with our first false fall.
I like the weather in Tennessee.
Where are you from originally?
Nowhere really. I've lived in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, North, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, 20 years in Virginia while I was in the Navy, and now here.
Well, given all of that, I prefer the weather here too. I've been to a lot of those places.
After I retired from the Navy, we lived in an RV bus for a year and a few months.
Yeah,
And out of the whole country, this is what I picked.
yeah.
If money was no object, Hawaii would be awesome. But
Hawaii's
money is an
great.
object, and if it wasn't for the weather, Colorado's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I can't take the cold.
That's where my stepson's stationed in Colorado right now.
Oh yeah, we're about.
He's in Colorado Springs. Right now he's serving at the border, so he's in Texas, but his wife just got out of the Army and she's still at home in Colorado Springs.
Does he have a 4-wheel drive vehicle?
He had a Jeep Cherokee, but the transmission just went on it, so we'll see what he's gonna end up getting.
So in Colorado Springs, if you go to Garden of the Gods Campground and you go out
Yes.
the rear of Garden of the Gods Campground,
Yeah,
that's called Rampart Range Road,
uh-huh.
and it shoots right up to 9,000 feet and then goes like this along the ridge line all the way
Oh.
up to Denver.
Wow.
And you can drive that. I mean, a lot of people say you should drive a 4-wheel drive, but it is gravel. I mean, you could drive a regular car on it,
Yeah,
and people do. But it is a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
And so you can hang out for the day in Garden of the Gods, and then jump Rampart Range Road and see
All the
beautiful
way to
sights
Denver.
all the way to Denver. Yep.
wow.
I know. It's beautiful. I do a little bit with Charis Bible College in Manitou Springs.
Yeah.
We tried to get up to the top of the cog rail 3 days in a row,
Mm-hmm.
and I was on a through read of the Bible at the time. And 3 days in a row, it couldn't go because there was too much snow on the tracks, and their track clearing engine was broken. And then the day I was in Romans, the world is without excuse because I've been evident in my creation from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That afternoon, we're standing up at the top of Pikes Peak and seeing, multiple states and just
Oh
the
yeah.
most gorgeous views. I'm like, it's a good day to be at the top.
Pikes Peak would be a great view.
Yeah. And the donuts up there are good too.
Yeah.
I do have a serious affinity for donuts. You got anybody watching us today?
No, is it like a live feed?
Yeah, it's on TikTok.
Oh, no, we had no idea.
Oh,
My husband-
usually everybody that's here saw us on TikTok.
Oh, no, my mom sent me a link to you all a while back, and then my husband bought this for my
Oh, nice.
birthday, so. My goodness.
Your mom would likely have seen us on Facebook.
Yeah, that's probably where she.
The 50 plus crowd sees us on Facebook. The 40 and under crowd sees us on TikTok.
I no longer do any of it, so I rely on them to tell me.
Yeah. It can be a time hole.
Yeah, carrier pigeon. Yeah, let's go back to that. Malfoy or your pigeons. Let's all just get a pigeon.
Actually, I'm about to get a bunch of pigeons out here
Oh.
because we have a live nativity this year, and doves are hard to come by, but who knows the difference? So we
Yeah.
can, like,
Most
release,
people.
we can release pigeons instead
They all
of
look
doves.
the same.
It's a
Right up
bird.
your alley. You love pigeons. Yeah, we were just talking about maybe coming back and doing the foxes.
When you come back, you should take the farm tour.
So what else in that?
You start out up top in the petting farm. There's sheep, goats, llamas, alpacas, sulcata tortoises, fennec fox, porcupine. I don't know. bunch of animals in the petting farm. Then we come down here and see some field animals with geese and swans and various kinds of geese, and ponies and miniature horses and zebra. And then we come through the exotic barn and we see coatimundi and
We're coatis.
iguana and bearded dragon and micro squirrel, hedgehog, sugar gliders, baby tortoises, baby iguana, various other reptiles. Then we see kangaroos and camels, and you'll see a kangaroo, but the kangaroo experience is a long thing. That's an add-on. That if you do it, add it on to your farm tour, it's half price, so it's $15 instead of $30. And the camel encounter, you'll see a camel on the tour, but if you want the whole camel encounter, that's another 30 minutes. And that again is half price if you do it with the tour. And so you see about 40 breeds of animals in an hour and a half. And the reason we don't rebrand as a zoo is, my opinion of a zoo is there's an animal out there somewhere and maybe you'll see it, maybe not. Or just see them, touch them, pet them, hold them. So it's different.
Yeah.
But the farm tours are only $20.
Yeah, well, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. Runs 3 times a day right now. When we go to daylight savings, it goes to 2 times a day. We book all of it on our website. You hear the noise when he opens and closes his mouth? His teeth have no enamel, so their teeth sharpen against each other as he opens and closes his mouth. So they grow constantly and they wear down constantly. So his teeth are sharpening like this. That sound you hear? That's his teeth sharpening. And they have massive teeth.
Really?
Did you see him when he opened his mouth?
Mm-mm.
In the skeleton picture, they look bigger than they do when you see his mouth, because in the skeleton picture, there's no gums and skin and hair and anything. But they are quite large.
Oh, yeah.
Just like his claws are just like
Yeah.
that too. And the last bone of his claw is inside of that. Even in the skeleton, that's why the claws are still there.
Yeah. Thanks for getting this busy. He's just doing
Hey, for those that are online, if you have any question, I'll answer questions for a minute or two here before we wrap up. I'm doing a little puzzle piece thing. If anybody had a quick question, I'll answer a question or two here before I sign off for the day, or for a while. Two-toe or 3, this is a two-toe, also called two-fingered, because they all have 3 toes on the back feet. Two-fingered have 2 on the front, 3-fingered have 3 on the front. Sells Idaho. Idaho was one of the last states to visit here. We've had all 50 states and 44 countries in the last year, but Idaho is one of the last ones to get here. The other popular question everybody asks is, can I do this? Yes, you can. You sign up on our website on OcoeeRiversideFarm.com, and that's OCOEE. Link is in the bio. Please do give us a like and a follow or a share. And we see lots and lots of people on lives every day, but it never occurs to anyone to swipe left and see all the other content we have out there. We've got hundreds of cool videos you guys can watch on TikTok. So check out our page. Guys, I'm going to sign off for the day. And I don't know, Kevin may be live on some other stuff later in the day. I'm not sure about that. I will talk to you all later. Thanks for joining. Oh, I was walking to see if you were going to
No, you're good.
I was saying goodbye.